In 2026, Adobe still dominates the software every editor learns first. But there's a professional alternative sitting quietly in the toolkit of thousands of filmmakers. And it didn't come from a traditional software company at all. It came from an Australian video hardware company that would later become a camera maker. To understand how that happened, rewind to 2009, when Adobe was the name every editor had to know. And a little-known Australian company made one quiet purchase that would take 17 years to blow a hole in Adobe's empire. There was no big unveiling, just an acquisition announcement tied to a trade show, one that barely registered outside the professional video industry. 17 years later, that software has grown into one of the most talked about editing tools in the industry. And Adobe, the giant that helped define the modern creative software industry, is suddenly playing defense. This is the story of how Blackmagic Design never fired a single shot in a marketing war and still managed to blow a hole in Adobe's empire. To understand what happened, you first need to understand how dominant Adobe used to be. By the early 2000s, Adobe wasn't just a software company, it was the software company. Photoshop, Illustrator, After Effects, and Premiere Pro weren't just tools, they were industry standards, baked into film schools, agencies, and studios around the world. And Adobe knew it. In 2013, the company made a decision that would define the next decade. It stopped developing new boxed versions of Creative Suite and moved its lineup to Creative Cloud subscriptions. Older versions kept working, but anyone who wanted Adobe's newest creative tools increasingly had to subscribe instead of buying a perpetual license. Editors complained, agencies grumbled, but Adobe's ecosystem remained extraordinarily difficult to leave. Where else would they go? Meanwhile, on the other side of the planet, a small Australian company called Blackmagic Design was doing something almost nobody noticed. Blackmagic had built its name selling niche broadcast hardware, capture cards, converters, the unglamorous plumbing of the television industry. It was invisible to most consumers. Then, in 2009, Blackmagic acquired the assets of DaVinci's systems, maker of a color grading tool used to finish blockbuster films for decades. It was a system known to thousands of colorists worldwide, but it cost more than most people's cars and ran on dedicated hardware most editors would never touch. Blackmagic's founder, Grant Petty, made a decision that looked risky on paper. Instead of keeping DaVinci Resolve locked away as an elite, expensive tool, he eventually gave most of it away for free, releasing a stripped-down version, DaVinci Resolve Lite, in 2011. At first, Resolve hardly looked like an existential threat to Adobe. Free color grading software for a niche group of colorists wasn't a threat to a company with millions of paying subscribers. But Blackmagic wasn't just giving away software, it was rebuilding it, year after year, quietly turning a one-trick color tool into a full editing suite. It acquired Ion Software, the company behind the visual effects and motion graphics tool Fusion, in 2014, before eventually integrating Fusion directly into DaVinci Resolve as its own page. Then it acquired Fairlight in 2016, before integrating it directly into DaVinci Resolve as a full audio mixing and sound design environment. What started as a tool for adjusting color now handled the entire post-production pipeline, from editing to effects to sound, all inside one application. Piece by piece, DaVinci Resolve stopped being a specialist tool and became something else entirely, a free professional alternative that could go head-to-head with much of the Adobe Creative Cloud video stack. And then Blackmagic did something even more strategic. It started selling cameras. Starting with its first cinema camera in 2012, Blackmagic began bundling a full version of DaVinci Resolve, and later Resolve Studio, with many of its camera models. Buyers of those cameras walked away with professional editing and color tools worth hundreds of dollars at no extra cost. Here's the part that should have gotten Adobe's attention. Premiere Pro remains one of the dominant professional editing platforms, alongside tools like Avid Media Composer. But DaVinci Resolve has closed that gap fast, becoming a serious option for students, freelancers, and working professionals who once assumed Adobe was the only real choice. Take the Associated Press. One of the largest news organizations on the planet moved its entire global video editing operation onto DaVinci Resolve Studio, running hundreds of licenses across newsrooms worldwide. and handling more than 1,500 video projects every single day. That's not a hobbyist workflow. That's a newsroom the size of a small army, trusting a tool that, years earlier, had occupied a far narrower corner of the post-production industry. And the pricing gap told the real story. Adobe's video tools cost hundreds of dollars a year, every year, for as long as you use them. Blackmagic's professional tier, Resolve Studio, costs around $300, a one-time purchase, with Blackmagic historically providing years of major upgrades without additional charges. Although it is never guaranteed free upgrades forever, no recurring bill. For freelancers, students, and small studios watching every dollar, that difference wasn't a footnote. It was a real part of the pitch. For years, Adobe's greatest weapon was its ecosystem. Once an editor learned Premiere, After Effects, Audition, and Photoshop, switching away meant relearning everything. That kind of lock-in made switching costly and difficult, even for editors who complained about the price. Blackmagic built a different kind of pull, aimed in the opposite direction. Instead of software locking you into more software, Resolve became a free front door to a hardware ecosystem. Cameras, color panels, editing keyboards, and cloud collaboration tools, all designed to work together. Adobe had spent decades building a walled garden made of subscriptions. Blackmagic built something else entirely, standing right next to Adobe's front door and letting people in for free. To be clear, Adobe hasn't been destroyed. Premiere Pro remains a dominant force in professional post-production, and Adobe has fought back hard, building generative AI directly into its timeline with tools like Generative Extend, which can add AI-generated frames to extend a clip or adjust its timing. But that response tells you something about how the battlefield shifted. Adobe once competed from a position of overwhelming ecosystem strength. Now, it has to defend that position against a professional alternative that costs nothing to enter. Blackmagic didn't outmarket Adobe or try to outspend its advertising budget. It simply chipped away at one of the biggest reasons editors stayed loyal in the first place: fear of switching. By giving away a professional tool for free and quietly wrapping it in cameras, panels, and cloud services people already wanted to buy, Blackmagic turned one of Adobe's greatest strengths, its ecosystem, into something it now has to actively defend. Adobe built an empire by making itself hard to leave. Blackmagic built momentum by making itself hard to ignore. And somewhere in a boardroom in San Jose, executives are still watching how a camera company from Melbourne got this close to the throne. No brand stays untouchable forever. No empire holds its throne without a fight. Every company has an origin. Every empire has a turning point. And every giant leaves behind a lesson. If you enjoyed this story, there's another one waiting for you on your screen right now. Click on it, and let's uncover how another company rose to the top and what changed everything. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next story.